So the teenagers are the most stressful years of development. For teens are undergoing the most amount of impulse and emotional stress in development at this age. So I'm going to talk to you about how to look at stress realistically and anatomically. So I'm going to talk about four major hormones and stimulants, also known as, well, the stressors: cortisol, ACTH, adrenaline, and CRH. According to the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, cortisol and adrenaline are the major stimulants to help create that anxiety, that massive hysteria of also with yourself to have rapid breathing, high blood pressure, high blood rate, high heart rate, and rapid, all of the above, please. But the idea of how these are all connected is through the HPA axis, which is a hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. The hypothalamus is the connection where it controls the emotional output of the person, and it controls a pituitary gland to create ACTH, also known as the hormone, to regulate the amount of cortisol to be produced in the adrenal glands. CRH is just another idea of the same ACTH. They are just one and the same. So the general statistic studies from Palo Alto Medical Foundation is that 55% of most students undergo stress in academics and school, while 15% go to parents and family. Next, please. So the idea about how they're related is that the idea that parents constantly put this stress on the students to always be better and have this expectation to relieve themselves like in the future. So next, please. So yeah, this is the biggest thing about how students undergo stress is because the amount of homework that is provided because of the idea of responsibility of the student. Okay, so again, according to Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, the symptoms of stress overload evolve around changing sleep and eating patterns. Let's see. Stress and eating patterns. Well, think about it. What is it? Well, either way, the ideas of stress overload is just the amount of ACTH in the bloodstream and cortisol that affects the amount of susceptibility to undergo this pain of ideas. So like the idea of being a teenager is tough. It's just according to the American Psychological Association, they were talking about how students, half of the students represent that school is their number one stress, and they don't know how to properly handle that stress. And 1 out of 10 students do not actually set a time to manage that stress. The idea behind this situation is that teenagers need to take in that time to evaluate the stress and how it affects them. Because if these symptoms are not addressed, then it could ultimately lead to worsening conditions and deteriorating mental and social health. Mentally, it is aggravating, and that's how you could lash out on family and friends, and therefore hurt your way how to handle other situations in total. And please. So the idea behind this is that once you're able to find that mutualistic relationship between you and your own body of understanding how to address that stress, then you can turn an uncomfortable situation to that of ease, as he shows. He's just taking it all in stride. So, thank you.